how you doing? Jerry Haron here to make another YouTube video. And as you can see on my computer screen, we're on the Internet Archive, and I'm about to read you another Christmas book. We've got 12 more days until Christmas, which is so exciting. And the book I'm going to read you all is How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Yep, I've seen the original 1966 classic and the Jim Carrey remake and the recent remake in 2018. And all three of those are good. They're awesome. They're classics. And now I'm going to read you the book of How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Shall we begin? Yes, we shall. Alright. It was digitalized in the Internet Archive in 2011. There's the inside tale, How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. For Teddy Owens. Alright. Here we go. Let's begin. Every Who down Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just tight. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath, and there hang their stockings. He snared with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers, nervously drumming, I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew. Mary, Mary. All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then the noise. Oh, the noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they feast, and they feast, and they feast. They would feast on who puddling, and rare Who's roast beef, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. Mary, Mary. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together. With Christmas bells ringing, they'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They sing and they sing, and they sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? And then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. But did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, Giddy up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1. The old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace, flew where the little Who's stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slivered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present: guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the whole Who pudding. He took the roast beef. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he stared into shove when he heard a small sound like coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou, who was no more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Sorry, Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" Santa Claus, I meant to say. But that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There is a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there. Then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and he got her a drink and he sent her to bed. And then when Cindy Lou, who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar, on their walls, and left nothing but hooks and some worked. And the one speck of food then he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's house, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 1:15 dawn. All the Who's still in bed. All the Who's still a snooze. When he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mr. Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. Pooh pooh to the Who's. He was grinchly humming. They're falling out now that no Christmas is coming. They are just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise, quinned the Grinch, that I simply must heat. I simply must hear. Sorry, I just can't really see the words. They're so small, but I'm trying. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his car, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why? This sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing, without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbon. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled that 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say then that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whistled and with his load and through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, earned the roast beef. And that is the end of our story. Merry Christmas, everybody, to boys and girls of all ages. If there were some words I missed, because the words were just so, I missaid, the words were just too small, but I stared my face too close to the screen, so close to the screen so I could see them better. But anyway, I got most of them right anyway. But anyway, Merry Christmas. 12 more days to Christmas, which is really exciting. I'll see you on my next video. This is Jerry Haron signing off. Good night.